My name is Riley Harper, and for most of my adult life, my family believed I was the one who never quite figured it out. Growing up on the high plains outside Cheyenne, Wyoming, success had a very specific shape. It looked like my older brother Ethan graduated top of his class from the University of Wyoming Business School, then straight into corporate agribusiness in Denver. By 30, he was regional director, drove a new black Ford F-350 King Ranch, married a nice girl from a ranching family with land that stretched from Laramie to the Colorado line. Every Christmas, he brought home stories of six-figure bonuses and the next parcel they were buying. Then there was my younger sister Madison. She went the beautiful life route, studied equine management at Colorado State, competed in rodeo queen pageants, eventually married Travis Caldwell, only son of one of the biggest feedlot operators in the Nebraska Panhandle. Their wedding picture was on the cover of Wyoming Livestock magazine. Now they live on a sprawling place near Scottsbluff, host big branding parties, and post sunsets over their 1,000 head of Angus. And then there was me. I started at UW like everyone else, majoring in computer information systems because it seemed practical. But 6 months in, I realized I wasn't learning how to build things. I was learning how to pass multiple choice tests about things other people had already built. One night at 3 a.m., in the computer lab, I finished a little mobile app that let local ranchers track hay inventory and water levels in real time. I showed it to my professor the next morning. He gave me a B- and told me the assignment asked for a database diagram, not a functioning product. That was the moment something cracked inside me. I walked out of the engineering building, called my dad from the parking lot, and said the sentence that changed everything. I'm dropping out tomorrow. Silence on the line. Then the low, tired voice I knew too well. You're throwing away everything we worked for. Riley. I could picture him standing in the kitchen, still wearing his Carhartt jacket, coffee gone cold. Mom would be beside him, already crying quietly, the way she did when disappointment felt too big for words. Ethan flew in from Denver that weekend just to deliver the intervention. He sat across from me at the old pine table, sleeves rolled up, looking every inch the successful big brother. Look, I get it. College sucks sometimes. But you don't quit when it gets hard. That's how losers think. Madison, home from Fort Collins, added her soft, concerned voice. How are you going to meet anybody worthwhile without a degree?
Edit.
You're going to end up waitressing in Laramie forever. I left the next morning with $2,800 in a savings account, a beat-up Dell laptop, and the smallest U-Haul trailer money could rent. Dad's last words followed me down the gravel drive. When this little rebellion crashes, and it will, we'll still be here. But don't expect us to keep picking up the pieces. They gave me 6 months. Ethan bet Madison $20 I'd be home by Thanksgiving. What they never understood was that their doubt didn't break me. It lit me on fire. The first 2 years were brutal. I landed in Boise, Idaho, far enough from Wyoming that no one knew my name, close enough that I could still smell sagebrush when the wind was right. I rented the cheapest room I could find, a converted garage behind a house full of college kids. Cockroaches were free roommates. Heat came from a space heater that tripped the breaker every 3 hours. I lived on instant noodles, day-old donuts, and the occasional free coffee from the gas station where I worked the night shift. Every spare minute went into code. My first product, a simple app for independent truck drivers to find cheap fuel and avoid DOT checkpoints, died after 4 months when a bigger company bought out the fuel rewards program and changed the API overnight. Second attempt, an online marketplace for buying and selling used ranch equipment. A venture-funded startup in Texas launched the exact same idea with 50 times my budget. Third try, subscription boxes with printed cattle market reports and breeding guides. Turns out nobody wanted physical paper in 2020. Each failure carved another piece out of my savings. Each maxed credit card felt like proof my family had been right. The night I hit bottom was January. Snow blowing sideways across the Treasure Valley. Landlord changed the locks after I missed rent by 3 weeks. All my stuff, clothes, laptop, childhood photos, was locked inside. I slept in my '07 Tacoma in the Walmart lot, running the engine 15 minutes every hour so the battery wouldn't die. Around 3:17 a.m., I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. Greasy hair, dark circles, 26 years old, and already a cautionary tale. I almost called Dad. Instead, I opened the laptop one last time, screen glowing blue against the dark, and started sketching something new. Small independent ranchers and feedlots were getting crushed by payment processing fees, chargebacks, and credit card fraud. The big banks didn't care, they were too small to matter. But there were tens of thousands of them, desperate, and nobody was building tools just for them. I called the new project Iron Range Payments. No logo. No fancy website. Just me, a prepaid phone, and a list of every independent cattle operation I could find between Boise and Rapid City. The first customer was a third-generation feedlot owner named Dale Whitaker. He let me pitch him in the cab of his truck because it was 20 below zero outside. I looked like hell, probably smelled like it too. He took pity, agreed to a free 3-month trial. Iron Range saved him $1,800 in fees the first 30 days. He told 3 neighbors. They told 5 more. Word spread the way things spread in ranch country, slowly at first, then like wildfire across dry grass. Within 8 months, I had 420 clients and was clearing 7 figures in monthly processing volume. That was when I knew I wasn't going home. The next 4 years disappeared into a single, endless motion. 18-hour days became normal. I moved out of the garage into a windowless office above a laundromat. I slept on a cot behind the desk. Showers happened at the truck stop. I hired my first employee, Lena, a former bank developer who'd been laid off during a merger. I couldn't pay her market salary, so I gave her 8% equity and a promise we'd make it. She believed me. Then came Marcus, our sales guy. Ex-rodeo cowboy turned insurance agent. He worked pure commission for 9 months because he liked the idea of sticking it to the big banks. By year 3, Iron Range was processing over $120 million a month. Our fraud engine, something I built myself during sleepless nights, was catching patterns even the biggest processors missed. Tech blogs started calling us the quiet giant of rural fintech. Acquisition offers began arriving. 10 million. I laughed and threw the email away. 23 million. Still no. When Plains Capital came in at 48 million, I finally listened. But I held out. I wanted terms that protected the ranchers who trusted us, not just the shareholders. In the end, Dakota West Financial bought Iron Range for $71 million cash plus stock, with ironclad clauses guaranteeing continued service to small operations. The day I signed, sitting in a Boise conference room that smelled like fresh carpet and money, I thought about calling my father. I didn't. Instead, I set up trusts for Lena, Marcus, and the 12 other people who'd believed when there was nothing to believe in. I bought a modest 3-bedroom house on the edge of town, no gate, no view, just a big shop where I could still tinker with code if the mood struck. I kept my life quiet. No Instagram. No LinkedIn updates. No alumni magazine features. My family thought I was still piecing together freelance gigs, maybe bartending on weekends. They talked around me at holidays, careful not to mention money, as though failure might be contagious. I let them. Real success, I'd learned, Doesn't need witnesses. It needs purpose. Then the email came. Ethan's name in the subject line. Urgent. Family meeting, Dad and Mom. The message was classic corporate Ethan. Riley, hope you're doing okay. Dad's Parkinson's has gotten a lot worse. Mom's hips are shot. She can barely walk the stairs now. Their savings are almost gone. Medical bills are eating what's left. I've set a family meeting for Saturday, 2 p.m. at the house. We need everyone to discuss realistic contributions going forward. Your presence would be appreciated, even if it's just moral support. Ethan. The follow-up text from Madison was softer, but somehow worse.
Hey, Eddie.
I know things are tight for you. Don't worry about money. We'll figure it out. Maybe you could help drive them to appointments? Every little bit means a lot right now. Every little bit. I sat on my back porch, watching the sun drop behind the Oahe Mountains and felt something old and hot rise in my chest. Not anger. Exactly. More like the moment before a match finally catches. I'd known about Dad's diagnosis for almost a year. Mom's friend Carol had called me crying after his last bad fall. Since then, I'd been working on something bigger than revenge.
Something permanent.
I'd quietly purchased 160 acres of prime grassland 35 minutes east of Cheyenne, old family grazing land that had come up for auction. Over the last 18 months, I'd turned it into a state-of-the-art assisted living ranch called Long Horizon. Not a nursing home. A real ranch that happened to have world-class medical care.
Wide.
Handicap-accessible trails for sunrise rides in golf carts. Physical therapy barns with heated indoor pools for Mom's hips. A dedicated Parkinson's wing with the newest FDA-approved movement therapy equipment. A small stocked pond because Dad always said nothing cleared his head like fishing at dawn. Organic gardens, therapy animals, even a blacksmith shop because he used to shoe horses before the tremors started. Total cost, $18 million to build. $6 million endowment to keep it running forever without ever charging my parents a dime. I'd already hired Dr.
Elena Vasquez,
one of the top movement disorder neurologists in the Mountain West, to oversee Dad's care. My family had no idea any of this existed. Friday night, I laid out my clothes for the meeting. Old Wranglers with grass stains still on the knees. A faded UW hoodie I'd owned since sophomore year. Scuffed Ariat boots I'd worn when I pitched my very first client. A beat-to-hell Carhartt coat that smelled faintly of diesel and hay. I looked exactly like the daughter they expected, struggling, directionless, barely scraping by. I flew commercial to Denver, middle seat, then rented the most tired-looking Ford Escape the counter had left. I even stopped at a Love's truck stop to mess up my hair and skip makeup. The drive up I-25 felt like traveling backward through time. When I pulled into the old gravel yard, Ethan's new black GMC Denali and Madison's white Cadillac Escalade were already parked like statements. Through the kitchen window, I could see them, heads together, probably deciding how to politely explain that I wasn't expected to contribute anything meaningful. I sat in the rental for a long minute, thumb hovering over my phone. One text to my pilot,
Cole,
and everything would change. But first I wanted them to show me who they still thought I was. Madison opened the door before I knocked. Yoga pants, oversized sweater, hair in a perfect messy bun. Riley, you came. She hugged me like I might break. We weren't sure you could get the time off. Managed, I said, keeping my face blank. She guided me inside. The house smelled the same, coffee, leather, the faint cedar of Mom's candles. Family pictures lined the hallway, Ethan's graduation, Madison's wedding, ribbons from every rodeo queen title. My high school senior photo was still there. Last moment they'd been proud. Ethan walked out of Dad's office, phone to his ear. already in boardroom mode. Hold on, projections are off. I don't care if it's Saturday. He raised one finger to me, wait like I was staff. 2 minutes later, he ended the call. Riley. His eyes swept over me, cataloging the worn clothes, the tired posture. Good you made it. Long drive. Worth it, I said. We sat around the dining table. Dad in his recliner, hands shaking more than I remembered. Mom beside him, eyes red. The air was heavy with unspoken math. How much care cost? How little savings remained? Ethan opened a folder labeled Golden Plains Assisted Living. We've researched the best options. Golden Plains is closest. Has good reviews. Monthly cost is high, around $11,000, but if we split 3 ways. He glanced at me. Riley, we know things are tight. Maybe you could do, I don't know, groceries, gas, whatever you can. Madison reached over, touched my hand. Even $500 a month would help. Seriously. I let the silence sit. Then I spoke.
Quiet.
I've already made other arrangements. Ethan's eyebrows lifted. What kind of arrangements? There's a new place. Private. Not on any public list yet. Specialized Parkinson's and mobility care. Ethan gave the short laugh he used when someone was being naive. Riley, some random facility you found online isn't. 24-hour nursing. 3-to-1 staff ratio. Dedicated neuro team. Heated therapy pools. FDA trial programs. Private suites with full kitchens. Gardens. A fishing pond. Madison frowned. That sounds really expensive. It is. For most people. Ethan leaned forward. So, what, you're gonna fundraise? Start a GoFundMe. No, I said. It's free. For Mom and Dad. Confusion rippled across the table. Ethan's voice sharpened. Okay.
Stop.
What's the name of this miracle ranch? Long Horizon. 35 minutes east of here. He was already searching on his phone. Nothing comes up. No website. No reviews. Nothing. It's not public yet. He snorted.
Right.
Private facilities still exist in records. Riley. I turned my phone toward them. Open the property management dashboard. Drone footage. Floor plans. The pond at sunset. Dad leaned forward, squinting. That's the old Whitaker place. Used to be, I said. I bought it at auction. Silence stretched tight. Ethan laughed again, but it sounded thinner. You bought 160 acres and built a medical ranch.
You.
On a barista budget. I don't work at a coffee shop, I said calmly. Never did. Madison's voice trembled. Riley, if this is some kind of joke. It's not. Prove it, Ethan challenged. I checked the time. 2 minutes. What? I stood. Walked to the big living room window that overlooked the back pasture and the county airstrip beyond. They heard it before they saw it. A low thrum that grew into a deep, unmistakable roar. The windows rattled gently. Mom grabbed Dad's arm. What in the world? A gleaming white Gulfstream G700 banked gently, lined up with the private strip, touched down with perfect grace. Engines spooling down to a whisper. Ethan's folder slid off the table. Papers fluttered like startled birds. Madison whispered, Is that my ride? I said. Nobody spoke while we waited for the stairs to drop.
Cole.
My pilot stepped out in his crisp uniform, gave a small salute. 3 black Tahoes waited on the tarmac. Ethan found his voice first.
Horse.
That's landing on Winchester Strip. That's private. You need permits. I have an annual lease. Slot 6. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You have a lease at Winchester?
Me.
Riley Harper. The dropout. Madison's hand covered her mouth. Dad spoke quietly, voice shaking more from emotion than disease. Riley girl, what have you done? I built something, I said. Now I'm taking you to see it. The ride to Long Horizon took 17 minutes. Ethan sat rigid in the lead Tahoe, scrolling frantically. I knew what he'd find. The press release from 8 months earlier. Iron Range Payments. Acquired by Dakota West Financial. $71 million cash plus stock. Founder and CEO, Riley Harper. When we turned through the gate, the ranch unfolded like a dream nobody had dared to dream for my parents. Wide graveled drives. Modern barn-style buildings that looked like high-end homes. Horses grazing in the distance. The pond glittering. A flag with a simple rising sun snapped in the breeze.
Dr.
Vasquez met us at the entrance. Warm and calm. Riley.
Good to see you.
Mr. and Mrs. Harper, this must be your family. The suite is ready whenever you'd like to see it. She turned to Dad. I've reviewed your records. We have some new protocols that might interest you. Approved just last quarter. Dad's eyes widened. You already have my files? Riley sent them months ago. We've been preparing. Madison started crying quietly. The tour took almost 2 hours. Every detail had been thought of: wider doorways, zero-threshold showers, adjustable height counters, heated floors. The therapy pool shimmered under skylights. The art room had easels Mom could reach sitting down. The suite for my parents had 3 bedrooms, a full kitchen, a private patio facing the pond. Ethan cleared his throat. The endowment in this place must run millions a year. $6 million endowment covers everything in perpetuity. No cost to residents. Madison whispered. You spent $24 million on a home for Mom and Dad? I spent $24 million so they never have to feel like a burden. So Dad can fish at dawn. So Mom can paint when her hips allow it. And so other families like ours don't have to choose between medicine and groceries. Mom broke then, sobbing into Dad's shoulder. Dad looked at me for a long moment. All this time we thought you were lost. I wasn't lost.
Dad.
I was just walking a different trail. Ethan stepped forward, voice rough. I was wrong. About everything. The way I talked to you. The way I looked at you. Don't, I said gently. I don't need sorry. I needed belief.
Dr.
Vasquez appeared with paperwork. Shall I prepare the residency agreement? Dad straightened as much as he could.
Yes.
We're moving in. Soon as we can. Ethan looked at the folder in his hand, Golden Plains, then quietly set it on a side table. Sunset spilled gold across the pond while Mom and Dad signed the papers. No money changed hands. Everything had been paid years ago. I stepped onto the back patio, letting the family explore the suite. Madison touching the medical equipment hidden inside beautiful cabinetry. Ethan staring at cost projections he'd never have to pay. Mom already planning where the old family photos would hang. Dad found me first. He moved slowly, walker clicking against the flagstone. That company of yours, what did it really do? I smiled, the first real smile I'd given any of them in years. It started with a feedlot owner who took pity on a girl who looked homeless. Saved him money on credit card fees. Word spread. Eventually, we were protecting thousands of small ranches from going under because of fraud and fees the big banks wouldn't touch. He nodded slowly. You did it without us. I did it because you couldn't see me yet. He looked out at the water. I told people my middle daughter was finding herself. I wasn't finding myself, Dad. I was building something bigger than myself. He reached out, placed a trembling hand on my arm. I'm proud of you, Riley. I should have said it sooner. Mom joined us. Eyes still wet. We failed you. No, I said. You just couldn't see me. There's a difference. Ethan and Madison came out last. Ethan spoke first. The jet. The ranch. Everything you've done, it's incredible. It was necessary, I corrected. Madison wiped her face. Can we start again? All of us?
No assumptions. No pity.
I looked at them, really looked.
Flawed. Stubborn. Human. Still mine. We can try, I said.
But no more every little bit helps. No more explaining fintech to me at Thanksgiving. Deal? Ethan actually laughed. Soft and real.
Deal.
The Gulf Stream waited on the strip, but I wasn't ready to leave. For the first time in 15 years, I wanted to stay for supper. Not to prove anything. Not to win anything. Just to sit at the table with the family I'd finally helped them become. Later, as the stars came out over long horizon, Dad asked me one more question. You ever gonna tell us what happened next with that first feedlot guy? I grinned. Dale Whitaker? He still calls me every branding season. Says I saved his ass, and now he's got grandkids who think I'm some kind of superhero. Dad chuckled. The sound shaky but warm. I think you might be. I didn't argue. Some things are better left unsaid. Some truths are sweeter when you let them settle quietly. Like snow on winter pasture. And for the first time since I drove away in that U-Haul, I felt the weight finally lift. Not because they finally saw my success, but because I no longer needed them to.